Welcome to Myers Counseling Group Podcast. We offer mental health, substance abuse, and wellness information for the community. To find out more information and to access previous podcasts and other resources, visit us at myerscounseling.com. Hello, I'd like to introduce today's guest, Linda Betzold. Linda is a volunteer coordinator for the Illinois chapter of TACA, Talk About Curing Autism. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you.
Linda, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and TACA?
Yeah, sure. I myself am the parent of a child with autism. I have a 16-year-old son with autism. He's been diagnosed since 1998. And TACA was an organization. I used their website for years, looked at all their materials online, and they were really, really helpful to me. But a long time ago, they only had chapters in California, which didn't help me in Illinois. But in 2007, they decided to expand and go national, and that's when I decided this would be worth my time. This is an organization I would volunteer for, and we meaning myself and a few other mothers and children with autism, helped to start a chapter, and actually now 2 chapters in Illinois.
What would be the second chapter?
Second chapter is in Naperville, Illinois, and the chapter I co-lead is in Crystal Lake, Illinois.
If you could tell me a little bit, backing up here, what exactly could you tell us about autism? How would a parent know if their child is autistic? What do they do? I mean, are these things that should be obvious from the beginning that a child has autism?
Severity, but I mean, autism is classified as a disability, a developmental disability. When you do take your child that you're wondering about to a professional, it's a diagnosis through observation. This isn't something there's a blood test for, like diabetes or something, and they're going to look specifically at child's language. Some children are nonverbal, less verbal, have words and then stop using them, or they don't seem to understand things, or there's some kind of problem with processing or using language. Also, social interaction, often eye contact is a real big kind of indicator of something might be up. A child's not making good or appropriate eye contact. And then the third category a professional who would be evaluating would be kind of looking at is stereotypical or repetitive behaviors. Those are kind of the 3 main things that the children are diagnosed by. Families should also know it's just very much a spectrum disorder. Some individuals are very, very profoundly affected. My son is one of those kids. And some are more mildly affected and would be called higher functioning, or might get a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, which is on the milder end of the autism spectrum. So, and no 2 children or individuals with autism look alike. They have very different skills, very different interests, very different abilities. So it can be kind of confusing to a parent in a way. Typically a child is maybe diagnosed or at least showing signs between 12 and 24 months, and diagnosis can occur in that case hopefully shortly after, because early intervention is key. But some children who would be considered on the milder side, that high functioning side, might not get a diagnosis until later, even after they hit preschool or kindergarten, and the teacher or somebody might say, wow, maybe we should have this child evaluated. But sometimes that diagnosis comes later if the characteristics aren't really blaring. And in my son's case, he was a very affected child. You couldn't have missed it.
I see. So again, it's not one specific set of symptoms you would see. It could vary, and it could vary with each child.
Absolutely.
What can a parent do if their child is diagnosed with autism?
Okay, if you stick with a professional and get one of the spectrum diagnoses, which would be classic autism, PDD, NOS, like I said, Asperger's, before you get one of those diagnoses. But it's not something a parent ever wants to hear, but the good news is there is a lot that you can do. Certainly you would want to get hooked up with your school district, find out what they have for you. Typically there's early intervention with your county and or through your school until the age of 3 to 6. There's a program children can enrolled in and attend and get the kind of services they need. That would include things like speech therapy, occupational therapy, maybe physical therapy, certainly some play therapy, and pursuing those things privately can be really helpful as well. So finding out, what your insurance will cover, talking to other families, finding out who are the therapists they like, and getting speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, whatever is appropriate for your child. Getting all of those things on board is really important. And then one of the less commonly known things, but it's also really important, is there are a lot of medical conditions associated with autism spectrum disorders. So it can be really important to find a doctor who specializes in and really understands these things. And often your pediatrician won't understand and won't even know who the doctors are who are specializing in these things. But one of the things TACA can help you with is finding a doctor or just talking to other parents. But these children often have food allergies, eczema, lots of tummy troubles, constipation, diarrhea, not sleeping, just a whole lot of things that if you can address all that and get a child healthy and comfortable, everything else you're asking them to do, like the speech and OT and all that, is definitely easier. And we think dietary intervention is really helpful, so sometimes contacting nutritionists is a good thing too. So it sounds like it's a lot to do, and it can be overwhelming, and I don't want parents to be overwhelmed or feel that way. I want them to feel like, wow, there's a lot of ways I can help my child, because that really is the good news. We know so much more than we did, and there's all these services and all these therapies and all these diets and medical things. Once you understand it all and get it in place, really, really helps these kids feel good and function well.
So as you mentioned, Linda, this all could be pretty overwhelming, and I think that's really good advice about not looking at having to do all these different types of modalities, taking it one step at a time with getting the diagnosis, and all these other therapies could fall into place at some point if needed.
Right. Great. It is overwhelming, and we always tell families this is not a sprint, this is a marathon, so you pace yourself. And you do a little bit every day or every week to get, learn new things, get new things in place. So if you can get your therapies in place very early on, certainly start that relationship with the school district to get a good IEP in place, get your child's educational needs being met, and then start meeting with an appropriate doctor who understands the medical picture of these children and can help you one step at a time. And there almost always is dietary intervention and just a lot of things that can really help, and you do take it one step at a time.
Linda, I think you had alluded to some of these areas, but I'd like you to spend a little bit more time on this. How can TACA help people? What types of resources does your organization have?
Well, we're all parents of children with autism who volunteer to help other parents. So we're definitely people who are living it. We know exactly what it is where parents are in for and about to face. So, and our mission is simply parent support and education, and really trying to cut down the time between that diagnosis and truly effective treatment for that child. And what that is all about is information. Information is power. If you understand all the options, then you can make really good choices for your child. So what we do in order to accomplish all that is all the chapters have monthly meetings where we have speakers coming. Could be anything related to autism. Could be dietary intervention. Could be special education law. Anything related to what our kids need. Some expert professional coming and sharing his or her expertise with families for free, so we can do the job we need to do for our kids really well. At those meetings, there's a resource table full of free information about local and national resources. There's also a lending library, lots of really good books, pretty much every topic related to autism. You can take them out for a couple of weeks, bring them back to a subsequent meeting. And there's a website, which is loaded with information and articles for pretty much on everything, insurance, diet, medical stuff, therapies, really almost anything you want to know is on there. There's also a live chat feature now. So if a parent or someone has a question in the moment, you can get on there, and there is an autism mom on the other end of the live chat who can help you or find the answers back to you via email. And I just think that's one of the coolest things. We also have a parent mentor program. That application is online, and it is simply about hooking up a parent who's been on this autism journey for a while, kind of been there, done it all, and can come alongside a newly diagnosed family or any family who has a particular interest in doing something new like diet or something, but coming alongside a family and giving them some guidance, making sure they know are, where the information is, what websites are good for this, just so they don't feel so alone and like they have to invent the wheel for themselves. Someone who's kind of done it and can show them, the way. Here's how you do this. We also have something online called the Blueprint. It's kind of the first, as parents put it together, it's sort of what we see as all the steps for the first 3 years after diagnosis. But I still look at it, even though we're diagnosed for a long time, and going, oh yeah, did that. Oh wait, maybe we should revisit that. But it's just like a blueprint. Here's kind of all the things you might want to think about it. Take it step by step at a time. Then for each step, there's some websites and links that you could look for information. But I think that's a really nice guide for parents. We also have what we call our Journey Guide, which is a 300-plus page book. If a parent is able to attend a meeting, they have a local chapter in their area, you get that book for free at your first meeting. But it's everything we wanted to know when our kids were diagnosed. So it's like, what's in the diagnosis? How is my family going to survive this? How do you do this gluten casein-free diet? What are the medical issues? What should I be looking for in terms of medical signs in my child? How do you deal with insurance? How do you deal with state services? How do you advocate for your child in the school district? It's just a basic guide for all that, and parents really, really love it. We also do these Autism Journey seminars, and here in Illinois we're about to do one shortly after the first of the year, but it's a one-day, 8-hour seminar, and parents really leave feeling empowered. But again, it's sort of like our book. It's everything we wanted to know when our kids are diagnosed. We pack it into as much as we can into one day. Lots of time for Q&A. We try to get one-on-one time with parents. We try to let them taste gluten casein-free food, and so they can leave feeling like, okay, I know what I'm doing, and I've learned all this stuff. I can make better decisions, and I know where to get more information that I need later. So that's the bulk of what we're doing, and it is all focused on, but with one goal in mind, which is simply to get parents what they need to know so that they can make good choices for their child. Make sense?
And Linda, I have been on that website, and I think we could probably spend several more interviews going over what exactly is covered on that. I think it's a very comprehensive site. What is the address of that site?
Our website is www.tacanow.org, so TACANOW.org, and it is loaded and expanding. It's way bigger than it was when I was using it years ago, for myself and my child, and it grows every day. And probably some of the most popular stuff on there, which is so incredibly useful, is there's a series, we call them our On a Budget articles. It's Autism on a Budget, Dietary Intervention on a Budget, Medical Intervention on a Budget, Doing the Diet if you're on food stamps. I mean, there's some really, where the rubber meets the road kind of help and information on there. So I'm really proud of the website myself.
Understandably. Now, how big is TACA? TACA started out as 10 people in our founder's living room, a woman named Lisa Ackerman, almost 11 years ago. That turned into the first chapter of TACA. They expanded into chapters around California, and then in 2007 they went national. At the moment, I believe we have 27 chapters. We're always hoping to expand, but we don't have a chapter in every state yet, and certainly we'd like to get there because there is an ever-growing need. The need doesn't seem to be going away. So right now, I think we're serving, the last official number I heard was 14,000, but I think it's in excess of that, 14,000 families around the country. And in Illinois, I know the last count was about 700-something families have attended meetings, so, and we're growing too, in terms of families finding out we exist and they can come and we can help them. And then there's also a lot of email support and phone call support we do too if a family feels like they live too far from a meeting or just can't get to one. Right. And who could join it?
You know what? Anybody can join TACA. If you love someone with autism, you're welcome. Certainly the majority of our members are parents of children with autism. We also have a lot of grandparents who join. They want to know how to help their families too. We have a lot of professionals joining and coming. They want to they come and speak for us, obviously, but sometimes they'll come and hear speakers too. They want to expand their knowledge. So pretty much if you love someone with autism, you're welcome at TACA, and we want to help you get information in any way that would help you help your family or some other family.
Is there a cost to join?
No. You can join online for free. If you attend a meeting, you're automatically a member. Everything TACA does is free, with the exception of the autism journey. We're going to do one probably next January. That there is a fee for. It's like $25 a person or something. That's really just to cover space and food and stuff like that, because we're going to have you there all day. We're going to make sure you eat a couple times and have food at breaks and all that. And there's always a scholarship available for a family who really can't do that $28 fee. So for the most part, free. We're trying to make sure that there's enough we could spend our money on in this autism world. When you have a child with autism, every dollar could be spent 7 different ways easily. So we're trying to make sure families are getting information at least and support for free.
Great. And briefly, if you could tell us some of the accomplishments of TACA.
Oh, like I said, we're serving, I think it's well over at this point 16,000 or 17,000 families around the country. I'm really proud of that. Certainly we're raising awareness, and I think the biggest accomplishments are the individual lives that are getting changed every day simply by a family getting the information that they need and going, well, I never heard of this diet, and they get up and running on the diet, and the child just really changes, much more available for school, better language, feeling better, doing better. I mean, we get those kind of emails all the time about, thank you so much, this changed my child's life, and clearly that's why anybody would want to do this as a volunteer, is that to make that kind of impact on a family. But raising awareness, making all this stuff available to families, and just helping families one family at a time.
Great. What else could you, you've certainly covered a whole lot of area about TACA, and it sounds like it's just going to be a wonderful resource for people, for professionals as well, wanting to learn more about autism, and as well as families getting some additional support from that. Would there be other areas or information about TACA that you'd like to include in here?
Gosh, we went over the website. That's how to find us. You can click on local chapters, see if you have a chapter near you. If not, you can click on any of those chapters closest to you and get connected with them, get information. We try to do, I mentioned live chat on there. We have meetings, the Parent Mentor Program, the Blueprint online, our Journey seminars. We also try to do some events sometimes, and you can go online and see when those are happening, either on the local chapter pages or just on the website itself. But just sometimes chapters do a picnic just for our families, like a big, with a bouncy house and rides. And so their families have some social events too, some things just for them. Because sometimes it can be hard for us to take our kids to some of that stuff regularly. But we're trying to put some of that stuff in place too for families. But like I said, we're about education, and so all those resources are set up to make sure parents get the information they need.
Great. Linda, this is all very helpful information. And then once again, if you don't mind providing the link to TACA.
Sure, www.tacanow.org, TACA Now, which would be Talk About Curing Autism Now.org. And if anyone wanted to contact me directly, I'll give my email. It's Linda, Linda.Betzold, my last name, B as in boy, E-T like Tom, Z like zebra, OLD.org, and I would be happy to help them in any way that I can in Illinois, or helping them get connected somewhere else.
Excellent. And as usual for people who are listening to this, we will have your link as well as your email address posted on our website too, so people will be able to access both of those.
Great. I'm happy to help.
Great. Linda, again, I appreciate all your time here, and thank you very much.
Thank you.